When I speak to my patients who are over 60, I always begin with something simple, something that does not require a pharmacy, a hospital visit, or complicated equipment. I tell them that one of the most powerful tools they already have is their own body, and how they choose to use the first 10 minutes of their day can quietly reshape their heart health over time. You see, as we age, the blood vessels naturally begin to lose some of their elasticity. They become a little stiffer, a little less forgiving, and this is one of the silent reasons blood pressure tends to rise after 60. Many people think the solution must be complex, but in reality, the body responds very well to gentle, consistent movement. That is why I emphasize the first 10 minutes of the morning as a kind of reset button for the cardiovascular system. When you wake up, your body has just spent hours in a resting state. Blood circulation is slower, joints are stiffer, and the heart is transitioning from rest to activity. If you suddenly rush into stress, anxiety, or physical strain, you are essentially shocking the system. But if instead you ease into the day with controlled movement, you are guiding the heart gently, like warming up an engine before driving it on a long road. I often recommend something very simple. Begin by standing upright, stretching your arms slowly above your head and taking a deep breath as you do so. Then gently roll your shoulders backward, allowing tension from sleep to release. After that, take a slow walk, even if it is inside your home or in your compound. It does not have to be fast. It does not have to be intense. What matters is rhythm, consistency, and intention. When you walk for just 10 minutes, your heart begins to pump more efficiently. Blood flow increases to the brain, muscles, and vital organs. This helps reduce the resistance inside your blood vessels, which in turn supports lower blood pressure readings throughout the day. Many people underestimate this because they think exercise must be long or exhausting to be effective. But for someone over 60, the goal is not exhaustion. The goal is circulation, control, and continuity. I have seen patients who could not tolerate heavy exercise, but transformed their readings simply by committing to this small morning habit. The body responds beautifully to repetition. When you perform light movement every single morning, your arteries gradually adapt. They become more responsive. Your heart does not have to work as hard to push blood through the system. Over time, this reduces strain, and that is exactly what we want in blood pressure management. There is also something deeper happening during these 10 minutes that goes beyond physical movement. It is the message you send to your nervous system. When you move calmly, without rush, without pressure, you activate what we call the parasympathetic response. This is the body's natural state of relaxation and repair. In this state, stress hormones like cortisol begin to drop. And when stress hormones drop, blood pressure often follows. I always remind people that the morning is a very sensitive window. It sets the emotional tone for the entire day. If you begin your day in a hurry, your heart mirrors that urgency. If you begin your day with calm, your heart mirrors that calm as well. So these 10 minutes are not just physical exercise. They are also emotional regulation. Now, I want to be practical. You do not need a gym. You do not need special clothing. You do not even need perfect health to start. You only need willingness. If walking feels difficult, you can simply march slowly in place. If standing feels tiring, you can do seated leg movements. Lift your knees gently, one after the other. Move your ankles in circles. Stretch your hands forward and backward. The body always has a starting point, no matter its condition. What matters most is not perfection, but participation. Many people wait for the perfect time to start exercise, but the heart does not wait. Blood pressure does not wait. Aging does not pause, so I encourage my patients, begin where you are, not where you wish to be. And something very interesting happens when this becomes a daily habit. After a few weeks, people begin to notice they feel lighter in the mornings. Their joints feel less stiff. Their breathing becomes easier. Some even report better sleep at night because the body is now regulating itself more efficiently throughout the day. The beauty of this 10-minute routine is that it builds discipline without pressure. It is small enough to be achievable, but powerful enough to create change. In medicine, we often look for big interventions, but sometimes the smallest consistent action produces the most meaningful results. So when I advise older adults, I am not asking for intensity. I am asking for commitment. 10 minutes every morning is not a burden. It is an investment in your heart's future. It is a quiet agreement between you and your body that says, we will take care of each other today. And if you stay consistent with this, you will begin to notice something even more important than the numbers on a blood pressure monitor. You will notice stability. You will notice control. You will notice that your body is no longer working against you, but working with you. Your heart does not need more pressure. It needs more gentle movement to survive longer with strength and peace. Now, let me speak to you about something many people underestimate. Yet it quietly determines how your heart behaves every single day: your breathing. I often tell my patients that if you can control your breath, you can influence your blood pressure more than you realize. It sounds simple, almost too simple. But the human body is designed in such a way that simplicity is often where the deepest healing begins. When a person is over 60, the body carries not only physical changes, but also accumulated stress from years of living. Worries, responsibilities, emotional strain, and even unconscious tension begin to reflect in the body. One of the first places this shows up is in the breathing pattern. Many people do not even notice it, but they begin to breathe shallowly, quickly, and from the chest instead of deeply from the diaphragm. And this pattern quietly signals the body to remain in a state of alertness. Now, when your body is in alert mode, your heart responds accordingly. The heart begins to beat a little faster, blood vessels tighten slightly, and over time, this contributes to elevated blood pressure. So what we are really dealing with is not just the heart alone, but the communication between your breath, your nervous system, and your emotional state. This is why I recommend a daily 10-minute breathing practice. It is not about force. It is not about controlling your body harshly. It is about guiding it gently back into balance. You sit in a comfortable position or even lie down if needed, and you begin to slow everything down. You close your eyes if it helps, and you bring your attention inward. You inhale slowly through your nose for about 4 seconds. Not a rushed breath, not a forced breath, but a calm, steady intake of air, as if you are allowing your body to receive peace itself. Then, you hold that breath gently for a moment, just enough to let your system settle. And then you exhale slowly through your mouth for about 6 seconds, releasing not just air, but tension, pressure, and internal noise. When you repeat this pattern for 10 minutes, something remarkable begins to happen inside the body. The nervous system begins to shift from what we call the sympathetic mode, which is the stress and survival mode, into the parasympathetic mode, which is the rest and repair state. And it is in this state that the heart begins to slow down naturally. Blood vessels begin to relax, and circulation becomes smoother. I always remind people that high blood pressure is not always about what is happening outside of you. Very often, it is about what is happening inside of you that you have not learned to calm. And breathing is one of the few tools that gives you direct access to that inner control. There is something powerful about sitting quietly and breathing with intention. It may feel small at first, even insignificant, but over time it becomes a form of internal medicine. You begin to notice that your thoughts are less scattered. You begin to feel less reactive to stress. Situations that would normally irritate you no longer carry the same weight. This is because your body is no longer living in a constant state of tension. For individuals over 60, this is especially important because the heart becomes more sensitive to emotional fluctuations with age. A small stress can feel larger than it actually is, and the body may respond more strongly than it should. But with consistent breathing practice, you train your system to respond differently. You create space between stress and reaction. And in that space, your blood pressure finds stability. I often tell my patients not to think of this as an exercise alone, but as a daily conversation with the body. In those 10 minutes, you are not forcing change. You are allowing change. You are telling your heart you are safe. You can slow down. You do not need to work under pressure all the time. Another important thing to understand is that breathing also improves oxygen delivery throughout the body. When oxygen levels improve, the heart does not have to work as hard to supply tissues and organs. This reduces strain, improves energy levels, and supports better overall cardiovascular function. Many people report that after just a few weeks of consistent practice, they feel lighter, more focused, and less fatigued during the day. But consistency is key. This is not something that works because it is done once or twice. It works because it becomes part of your daily rhythm. Just like eating or sleeping, it becomes a habit that your body begins to expect. And when the body expects calm, it begins to produce calm. I also encourage people not to rush the process. In the beginning, the mind will wander. Thoughts will interrupt. That is normal. You simply bring your attention back to your breath each time. There is no failure in this practice. Every return to the breath is part of the healing itself. And over time, something deeper begins to shift. You start to realize that you are not just breathing to lower blood pressure. You are breathing to reconnect with yourself. You are breathing to create a sense of internal balance that no external situation can easily disturb. So I always say this with conviction: do not underestimate the power of 10 minutes of conscious breathing. It is quiet, it is simple, but it carries within it the ability to reshape your heart's rhythm, your emotional stability, and your overall health in ways that medicine alone cannot achieve. And if you remain faithful to this practice, your body will reward you with something priceless, a calmer heart that knows how to slow down even when life does not. Now let me speak something many people overlook in their daily life, yet it sits at the center of blood pressure control more than they realize. It is not always about medication, and it is not always about strict restrictions. It is about what you put into your body quietly, repeatedly, every single day. I am referring to your relationship with salt and water, and how these two simple elements can either support your heart or place unnecessary pressure on it. When I talk to patients over 60, I often say that the body becomes more sensitive with age. What used to be tolerated easily in younger years now begins to show clearer effects. The kidneys, which are responsible for balancing fluid and sodium, may not work with the same efficiency as before. This means that even small excesses of salt can begin to hold more water in the body than necessary. And when that happens, the blood volume increases, which naturally places more pressure on the walls of the arteries. Many people do not realize this connection. They think blood pressure is only about stress or age, but the truth is that daily dietary habits quietly shape it in the background. A meal that seems harmless can sometimes contain more sodium than the body needs in an entire day. Packaged foods, processed snacks, canned soups, seasoning cubes, and even restaurant meals often carry hidden salt that accumulates without awareness. Now, I am not telling you to remove salt completely. The body still needs sodium to function properly. It is essential for nerve function, muscle movement, and fluid balance. But what we must learn is control. The goal is not elimination, but moderation. It is about training your taste buds to appreciate natural flavors again. When you reduce excess salt gradually, your body begins to adjust. Foods that once tasted bland start to taste normal again, and your dependence on strong seasoning slowly decreases. I always encourage my patients to begin with small steps. Do not attempt drastic changes overnight. Start by reducing the amount of salt you add to food by just a small portion. Replace some of it with natural herbs and spices that enhance flavor without increasing sodium levels. Things like garlic, ginger, lemon, onions, and mild spices can bring depth to your meals without stressing your cardiovascular system. Another important aspect is awareness. Many people eat salt without realizing where it comes from. It is not always the salt shaker on the table. It is often hidden in processed ingredients, so part of managing blood pressure is learning to read your environment differently. Ask yourself, what am I really consuming? Is this food nourishing my body or quietly straining it? Now let us talk about water, because this is the second part of the equation that is often misunderstood. Water is not just a thirst quencher. It is a regulator. It helps your kidneys flush out excess sodium. It supports blood flow. It maintains the balance of fluids in your bloodstream. When you are properly hydrated, your heart does not need to work as hard to circulate blood efficiently. However, many older adults unknowingly drink too little water. Sometimes it is due to reduced thirst sensation with age. Other times it is due to fear of frequent urination or discomfort. But when the body is underhydrated, the blood becomes slightly thicker, and circulation becomes less efficient. This can contribute to higher blood pressure readings, so I always advise a steady, balanced intake of water throughout the day. Not large quantities at once, but small, consistent sips spread across the day. This keeps the system balanced and prevents sudden strain on the kidneys and heart. Think of water as a gentle assistant that helps every organ in your body function smoothly. When you combine proper hydration with reduced sodium intake, something very important begins to happen inside the body. The pressure on your arteries begins to ease. The heart begins to pump with less resistance. Fluid balance improves. Swelling in the body reduces, and gradually, your blood pressure becomes more stable. I have seen this transformation in many individuals who simply adjusted these two habits. No complicated interventions, no dramatic lifestyle changes, just awareness, discipline, and consistency. The body responds quickly when you remove unnecessary strain from it. But I want to emphasize something important here. This is not about fear. It is about understanding. Your body is not your enemy. It is responding to what you give it. If you give it excess salt, it retains fluid. If you give it enough water, it restores balance. If you give it care, it responds with stability. So I encourage you to develop a mindful relationship with your meals and your hydration. Do not eat in haste. Do not ignore what your body is telling you. Pay attention to how different foods make you feel afterward. Learn to recognize the difference between satisfaction and strain. Over time, this awareness becomes second nature. You begin to make better choices without forcing yourself. You begin to enjoy lighter meals. You begin to feel more energetic because your body is no longer working against excess pressure. And most importantly, your heart begins to function in a more relaxed and efficient state. Remember, blood pressure is not only managed in the clinic. It is managed in the kitchen, at the dining table, and in your daily water habits. Every sip, every meal, every choice contributes either to pressure or to balance. And when you learn to respect that balance, your body rewards you with something invaluable. A heart that works with ease, not with strain, carrying you forward with steady strength and confidence. Stability. Now, let me bring everything together with something that many people hear but few truly practice. Yet it is the foundation upon which all heart health is built. It is consistency, not intensity, not occasional effort, not short bursts of motivation that fade after a few days, but steady, daily commitment to small actions that protect your heart over time. When I sit with patients over 60, I often notice a common pattern. Many of them are willing to try new things. They may walk for a day or two, they may reduce salt for a week, or they may attempt breathing exercises when they remember. But then life happens, motivation drops, and the habits slowly disappear. And I always gently remind them that the heart does not respond to occasional care. It responds to repeated care. Your cardiovascular system is not transformed by what you do once in a while. It is shaped by what you do every single day, even when you do not feel like it. That is where the real power lies. The 10-minute habits I have spoken about are not meant to be dramatic. They are meant to be sustainable. They are designed to fit into your life, not disrupt it. Think of your body like a river. A river becomes strong and steady not because of one heavy rainfall, but because of continuous flow. In the same way, your heart becomes stable not because of one intense effort, but because of daily, gentle repetition. That is why I always emphasize routine over reaction. Many people wait until their blood pressure becomes high before they take action. They wait until they feel symptoms, until they feel discomfort, until they receive a warning from a doctor. But by that time, the body has already been under strain for a while. What we are trying to build instead is prevention through rhythm. A lifestyle where your heart is constantly supported, not occasionally rescued. When you commit to even 10 minutes of movement, 10 minutes of breathing, and mindful attention to your salt and water intake, something powerful begins to happen. The body starts to trust you. It begins to operate with less tension because it recognizes a pattern of care. The nervous system becomes less reactive. The heart becomes more efficient. And over time, your blood pressure readings begin to reflect that internal stability. But this only happens when there is consistency, not perfection, not intensity, just presence. Even on days when you feel tired, even on days when motivation is low, even on days when life feels overwhelming, you still show up for 10 minutes. That small act of discipline is what reshapes your long-term health. I often tell my patients that you do not need to feel motivated every day. Motivation is not reliable. What is reliable is commitment. Commitment is what carries you through the days when your energy is low. Commitment is what builds identity. And when you become someone who shows up daily for your health, your body begins to respond differently. There is also something deeply psychological that happens when you maintain consistency. You begin to develop confidence in your own ability to care for yourself. You stop feeling like your health is something outside your control. You begin to realize that small actions repeated daily are powerful enough to influence your future. And this confidence itself becomes therapeutic. Stress reduces because you are no longer feeling helpless. Anxiety decreases because you are actively participating in your own well-being. And as stress reduces, your blood pressure naturally benefits as well. Let me also say this clearly. Consistency does not mean rigidity. It does not mean perfection or pressure. It means returning, again and again, to simple habits. If you miss a day, you do not give up. You return the next day. If you feel weak one morning, you do something lighter. The goal is continuity, not punishment. Over time, these small daily actions begin to compound. Just like drops of water filling a container, each 10-minute habit adds up. A week becomes stability. A month becomes improvement. A year becomes transformation. And without realizing it, your body has shifted into a healthier rhythm. I have seen individuals who once struggled with unstable blood pressure become remarkably steady simply by embracing this principle. Not through drastic measures, but through patient repetition. And what surprised them most was not just the improvement in their readings, but the improvement in how they felt day to day. More energy, better sleep, calmer emotions, and a sense of balance they had not experienced in years. So when I say consistency is everything, I mean it with full conviction. It is the quiet force behind every improvement. It is the invisible structure that holds your health together. Without it, even the best habits lose their effect. With it, even the simplest habits become powerful medicine. And if you take nothing else from what I am sharing, remember this: your heart does not require perfection, it requires presence. It requires you to show up daily, even in small ways, and trust that those small ways are enough to protect you over time. Because in the end, it is not the intensity of your efforts that shapes your heart. It is the steadiness of your care that gives it strength, stability, and life that lasts with calm endurance.